aka DFS Prodigy, coming to you live once again with Huntman DFS breaking down this PGA US Open. Obviously, my go-to guy for PGA talks. So I'm excited about this course. It's the US Open. It's a huge course. Definitely a huge major that we need to talk about. So we're doing something a little bit different this week. We're going to break this up into two videos, which we're going to do this one, kind of just a first look, kind of glance at what this course is, who's playing, storyline, stuff like that. But then next video, we'll dig into each price range, into the tiers of 12 to 10,000, so on and so forth. But before we begin, always hit the like button for me. Definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. Definitely come hop into the Discord chat, hang out with me and Huntman. We have a lot of good guys in there just talking about UFC, NASCAR, NBA, NFL's coming up. I know we have stuff planned for NFL. I'm excited about this. So this is PGA, though. That's what y'all are here for. How's it going, my man?
Hey, I'm doing good. I feel like we've been blessed with these majors recently. I feel like we have one every few weeks, which I guess we have been. So it's awesome. I feel like, again, we're just really being blessed as golf fans. So looking at this, looking at the U.S. Open, anything that kind of catches your eye, looking at the course or, anything before we really dive into all the good stuff?
So from the first glance, what I kind of saw was already before we even the U.S. Open came about was we had the storyline of John Rahm and the COVID issue, which, I mean, did you see the tweet that he sent out with the Rambo GIF? I mean, that was kind of badass, not going to lie, that he's ready to go for this course. I think he's back, which we'll dig into that. But that's pretty much the major storyline is we have Matthew Wolff back into the course, which we'll talk about him, and that's kind of storyline. John Rahm's back from COVID. And like I said, this is the U.S. Open. This is a huge course for PGA fans. This isn't a small town course. This is literally one of the biggest courses that there is that we definitely need to talk about. So how do you feel about this course going into this week?
Yeah, we all kind of know, as always, the USGA loves to make these U.S. Opens as difficult as possible. Two things that kind of catch my eye just when thinking about my lineups. One is just the distance of the course. It's going in at about 7,650 yards, so definitely a little bit longer on the scale of the courses that we see in the given year. And also the rough is really, really long. I don't know if you saw one of the videos I saw it from Xander, I guess, but I'm sure there's going to be a bunch out there this next few weeks of how long the rough is and just, how brutal it'll be for all these guys, especially if you're not hitting the fairway. So those are two main things. Like I said, this is going to play tough no matter what. It's a bigger field as well. Field of 156, and I believe top 60 make the cuts this time, so it's going to be a little bit slimmer than what we're used to. So 6 of 6s again is going to be a little bit hard, especially compared to last week. I think there was about 1% of 6 of 6 lineup.
Yeah.
I think hopefully not that bad this week, but I think we'll see something similar to that, maybe 2 or 3%. It just kind of depends on who gets by. So what have you been hearing about this course? Anything that catches your eye? Anything that you're considering as you create your lineups going into the weekend?
Also, I forgot to mention, can we talk about Higo last week? Finally hit it for us. We were talking about him for so many weeks, and now he finally hit it for us. I'm pretty excited about that. I was hyped whenever I saw that he was on top of the leaderboard, that he finally got that tournament win. It's well-deserved for him, in my opinion. He's been working for that for a while. But yeah, this week, driving distance is going to be key. I think we're going to have to look at the Bombers. We're really going to have to focus on that long approach. And like you said, the greens, it's Torrey Pines. If y'all don't know what Torrey Pines is, this is the most difficult course that there is going to be. This is a tough course. The winning score last year was -1. If that tells you how hard this course was, so that should tell you that this isn't going to be an easy course for guys to go on. Firm greens, super fast speeds. The rough is very thick. So we really need to watch out for how these guys play on the rough, driving distance, so on and so forth. So going from a Bomber's perspective, who do you have your eye on, a few guys?
Yeah, definitely Bryson, of course. That's just the obvious answer from the Bombers' perspective. He's going to come in pretty hefty as well in the 10K range. So, again, that's an obvious one. Tony Finau is someone I'm really looking towards. I think Gary Woodland's another great one. He's at about 7.4, 7.5K. I think he's a bomber as well. Just a couple of guys that play well in majors and can definitely win you a GP. So those are a few guys, especially the bombers, that catch my eye. Driving accuracy, like I said, is going to be a big one too. So definitely weight that a little bit into your lineups just because you do not want to be in the rough here. Depending on where your ball's at, it could just be an extra stroke just trying to get it out of the rough depending on how it lies. So just definitely going to be looking at strokes gained off the tee just in general this week because I think a combination of those two is really going to be big. Any other stat that you're looking at this week going into the weekend?
I think you made a good point on accuracy. That's going to be a really key thing. And like we were saying, strokes are going to approach. That kind of sort of game is going to be key. That's where I'm mainly looking at. I'm not looking at putting too much here. I think I'd rather go for the bombers and then, like I said, the strokes are going to approach sort of game. But just digging into this course, what catches your eye basically for a guy who can set up well here other than bombers? Are we looking at more so driving accuracy? Are we looking at more so stroke gains approach? What are we thinking this course?
Yeah, like we said, driving distance, driving accuracy is going to be big. I think strokes gained approach from about 200 is also going to be big. Obviously, this is a long course, but I'm math here. If you're 300 off the tee, your next shot's probably going to be about 200 or so. So it is really crazy looking at the stat leaders from, approach from 130 to 150, 170, and up to 200. It really does change from those ranges. So definitely is one of those stats that I'm going to be looking at. Approach, of course, as well. And, I've tweeted about this before. I do think just how you perform in majors and obviously U.S. Opens in general, I don't think there's an official stat for that, but just like your major pedigree and how you perform, when the lights are the brightest, I guess, a football reference there, but, how you perform when the pressure is the highest and, when all the eyes are on you, I think that really does matter because if you look at people, look at some of the golfers over the time, some of them just don't perform as well in majors compared to others. So that's another just random stat that I'm going to be looking at.
Right. So speaking of that, who do you have your eye on if you had to pick a few guys that you're really looking at this course? For me, like you made a good point, Bryson, obviously, if we're talking about bombers, we really need to look at him. A guy who has great history here that we can key in on is Xander. I mean, we know the course history is here for him. It's going to be the go-to guy for a lot of people. Possibly Patrick Reed has been setting up well here. I do like him. I mean, strokes taking approach. We can look at Will Z possibly. I don't mind him at all. And then before we go down deeper, who else are you liking? Kind of just similar in those ranges for first glance.
Yeah, so you're definitely going to have to make some tough decisions up in the 9, 10K range this week. So many good options, and it's really hard to make a case against some guys. So you can't really spread your ownership across all of them and hope to, do well. So a few guys that I'm going to definitely play are Bryson. Brooks Koepka, of course, just because he plays well in majors all the time. We saw it, a month ago at the U.S. Open. I think he's primed. I'm really not worried about his missed cut from last week. I think that honestly benefits him because he'll have more time to prep for the course here. So definitely Colin Morikawa, talking just about the approach game. I definitely will have some shares of him. Xander, of course, he always performs well in majors, of course, as well as the U.S. Opens. Patrick Reed, like you said, he actually won on this course earlier this year at the Farmers Insurance. So really hard to get away from here. I don't think he's going to be that high owned either. So I think he'd be a nice pivot.
He never is high owned. That's the thing. Like guys never want to play him, but this course is too well for him. I mean, it just sets up terrifically well for him, which we'll dig into that on the next video, obviously. But yeah, man, the list goes on and on. You're going to have to make some tough choices, especially with the 12K range, which we'll talk about obviously in the next video. This is going to be definitely that course where we have to strategize how we're going to build our lines.
Yeah, man, I agree. We'll kind of dive deeper into some of the cheap guys next time and where you can find value plays and maybe some potential pivots for some GPP tournaments next time as well. So we'll see a lot of you guys for that next video.
The last storyline I do want to go over is what do you think of Matthew Wolff coming into this?
That's going to be a fade for me. I actually did consider him a little bit because, he did well in the U.S. Open last year. He's going to be pretty well under-owned, but he just hasn't really if he had a tournament or two in the last couple of months where he, made the cut or showed a top 25, I'd definitely consider him. But there's actually just a lot of guys right in that low 7K range that I feel much better about having in my lines than him. So just kind of depends on what your overall strategy is for the weekend. How do you feel about him?
I think it's going to be interesting to see what his ownership is going to be at. If that ownership digs deep in the percentage that I'm really liking, then I'm going to go take a chance on it because you obviously can. With the amount of guys that are in this course, you're going to have to find somebody lower in that range. And the salary is just too good for him. I don't know what to expect out of him is the issue. But knowing his past game, it does set up well here. Not going to lie.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, I did consider him just especially for that
Yeah.
fact. I think Charlie Hoffman's in that range. Ryan Palmer, gosh, Matt Wallace is in that range. A lot of guys, a couple $100 above that too. So you're right. He's definitely going to be a solid pivot. It will be interesting to see how he does. I'm glad that he's hopefully going to be back.
Exactly. So this is the U.S. Open. Obviously, this is our course breakdown, our kind of first look, glancing over a few guys here and their storylines and stuff like that. Next video, we will be breaking down GPP options, cash options, and basically the lineup builder where we're going to kind of give out a core guys like who we like in each price range. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Again, come hang out in the Discord with us. You can always find Huntman DFS on Twitter. He's obviously tweeting out the Ryan Palmer tweets. So definitely be on the lookout for those. So that pretty much wraps up this video for us, guys. Again, thank you all for tuning in. I hope everybody has a good and safe rest of their day. Have a good one, everybody.
See you guys.